Oh yeah, 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 yeah. You are mighty God, mighty God. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Time, mighty one, one who sits high but looks way down low. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You are good, you are kind, you are more than these. Lost for words, trying to describe you. Elohim, Elion, Ale Shelewi. Your greatness is all I see. There is nothing you cannot do. There's no mountain you cannot move. If you have said it, then you will do it. 'Cause you have a track record of keeping your word, and you're not about to stop doing it now. All over Ambayo,
and I'm excited to be hosting this panel discussion today. So thanks everybody that was able to make it. Thank you. Well, today we do have an outstanding panel of guests who have proven themselves in business. Together we'll explore the topic of empowered careers, nurturing entrepreneurship, finding balance, and tapping into faith. Without wasting too much time, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our esteemed panelists today. First, we have Sharon Hathaway. He's the CEO of ICE Mentors, a leading leadership and mentorship organization here in Columbus, Ohio. Sharon has mentored countless individuals, young men, and guided them towards success. Welcome, Sharon.
All right, thanks for having me. Thank you very
excellent. Next on our panel, I'd like to introduce Ore Ishola, a faith-driven entrepreneur and founder of Radio Lux. Ore has built an empire based on their strong faith and unwavering determination. Welcome today, Ore. And last but not the least, I'd like to introduce Jermaine Fox, an entrepreneur, a businessman, a real estate guru who's made a name for himself in the industry. He has mastered the art of achieving financial freedom through real estate investment. Welcome today, Jermaine.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent. Thanks for being here. My name is Richard Anin, and again, I'm very honored to be here to moderate this panel discussion today. Now, before we actually dive deep into our topic, I want to remind everybody here and everybody watching us to keep an open mind and ready to absorb valuable insights from our panelists today. Make the most of the seminar, ask questions, and let's learn from each other. Sounds good? Absolutely. Excellent. All right. Well, guys, I know some of you personally, and I know how challenging and difficult it is to really maximize any opportunities and your careers and business and everything that's come your way. Today, what I'm going to do is try and segment our conversation around a couple of different topics so our audience can learn and those who are watching can learn from how we've managed to get to where we are today. In terms of career, Sharon, I've actually known you for quite some time now, and I've personally been privy to see the milestones and the progress from when we first met as students to now where we are. My first question is, as far as career goes and as far as individuals, how can an individual navigate their career path, right, to achieve sustainable growth and fulfillment in today's rapidly growing job market?
Yeah, that's a great question, Richard, and thank you again for the time. I would say for career growth, the first thing you got to do is have a very, very clear understanding of yourself. And I would even start with a belief in self. And that's just more so building your confidence, building your resilience, just having very, very strong belief and believing that, hey man, that I am somebody, that God has given me a purpose, and then I can be able to use my gifts and my talents to do that. My next thing would be, once you have a strong belief in self and a belief in faith, right, you have to understand your gifts are. And so you actually really have to have the conversation of understanding, hey, what is it that I'm really good at? What is it that I'm really passionate about? What is it that I really care about? Or what are the things that I really want to solve? What are the things that when I look at in the world, I say, man, there's a problem with that. And that I try to say it this way. What irritates me? What annoys me, right? Because usually that's the thing that you really want to fix, right? And that kind of leads you that way. And then my other part about just starting a career is just kind of thinking about, man, what are you doing when nobody else is watching? What do you feel yourself draw to? What do you feel yourself your interest to? We all get really caught up in this decision about my purpose and all this stuff, and we really kind of make it overly deep, right? But when you kind of think about the things that you naturally gravitate to, that you enjoy, I think that's the thing that really, really fuels you. And school doesn't teach it that way. And that's why I wanted to start there when you answered that question. School doesn't teach you that way. We'll get you all really, really grown into a career like very, very quickly, right? Get you doing a job and doing the next job, doing the next job. No, you need to take a minute and pause. Do a job, make your money, right? But when you get off of work, pause. Think about, man, my gifts, my talents, my purpose, the things that really interest my heart. And that's where you really start making your money. And that's where you double down on.
Yeah. So great feedback. Thanks for that, Jerome. Ari, what about you? What's been a guiding principle as far as, how you've navigated through your career, being an entrepreneur yourself? What's been your guiding principle for that?
Yeah, I would definitely say echo what Jerome has said. I think it definitely starts from finding your purpose and align with God's plan for your life. I think a lot of times we have a vision, we have a path, and we have a way that we've kind of pictured that we would get there. But stepping back and really allowing God to navigate that journey for you is super interesting, because you begin to gravitate towards opportunities that you did not like Jerome said, these are the things that I feel, that I'm passionate about. These are the things I want to fix in the world. But what is your agenda? What is the kingdom agenda here? And how can I align myself to that? Because ultimately, the world would always change. Always change.
Absolutely.
Right now, we are in a world of tech. In the next 20 years, we're probably going to be still tech, maybe AI, deeper AI. Maybe now we would enter robotics. So there's just so much going on. And the person that knows the end from the beginning is God, right? So having him navigate that for you, you'll be able to transcend through all the trends that the world, that the world kind of goes through. So in a nutshell, I would say yes, finding your purpose, but really finding out what God's agenda is and aligning yourself with it and saying, God, whatever it is that you're doing on the earth, I want to be a part of it. And I think a lot of times we have this conversation in a very spiritual silo, but God is very much interested in wealth and business. Very much interested in wealth and business. As a matter of fact, like if you really deep the creation, you begin to see God's mind a little bit in business. But I'm sure we'll get there. So aligning yourself to God's agenda, I definitely think has been a guiding path for me.
Great feedback. Jermaine, I know you've been an entrepreneur for quite some time now. We've had to navigate through some incredible challenges to get here. What do you think are some essential skills and qualities one needs to have or possess to thrive as an entrepreneur in a very competitive business landscape?
Well, for me, it took me a little bit of time to figure out where I was going to go. I had job after job, fired here, fired there. And then I had to take some time to actually think, and I don't think a lot of people take time to think, like Sharon was saying, like, what are your gifts, what are your talents? I figured out mine was numbers and people. So when I got into real estate, it felt like home. I got into new home sales. I didn't have people over me, manage me all the time, and then I loved that freedom so much, even though I was eating ramen noodles. I was like, whatever this is, I like it. It feels at home. I got to figure this out. Like I said, I was 34 before I made my first $100,000. But once I figured out what I wanted to do, set my goals, started immersing myself in that, kind of obsessed a little bit, going to conferences, everything I could real estate related. Because what people don't realize, they see people like entrepreneurs doing this and doing that. You have to get really good at one thing first to make your money. And then once you do that, then you can start branching off and doing other things. But like I said, you got to kind of immerse yourself in it, because it's like a relationship. If you're married, you can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It never works. So when it comes to whatever you decide you want to do, go all in. Don't try to do 5 or 6 things because you think it's cool. Go all in. You may dabble here, dabble there, but once you see something you're gravitating towards, like they were talking about, just give it everything you got. And usually God will take care of you, to work out what it's supposed to be. Like people ask me all the time, Jermaine, how many hours a week you work in real estate? I've never had any clue, because it don't feel like work to me. Because like I said, once I'm dealing with people, I feel like I'm helping with the biggest financial decision of life. I like the mentoring part. I like the fact that it's different every day in what I do. But like I said, just go all in whatever you do. That's the biggest thing, the grit to push through when it's not fun, and the discipline to do what you need to do to get the results you want to get.
Thanks. That's a good one. One of the things that I've also discovered, is for any person that's so driven, there's always a challenge or a hurdle of finding real balance. especially if you have family or you have other people that depend on you, So I'm going to throw this question to all of you, and we'll start with Jerome. How are you striking that balance, right, to have that competitive edge and still find time for family or find time for other activities that enables you to become a well-balanced individual? Because a lot of people seem to think that, in order to achieve X, Y, or Z, you have to be entirely committed and focused to that. So how do we find success and still manage to find balance for family and friends and everything else that matters to us?
That's a really good question. Actually, nowadays, a lot of those nuances or those catchy sayings have been changing now. So they would say, you got to grind all day, right? Or your success, I'll be successful when I sleep, or you know what I mean, or I don't sleep, right?
We'll sleep when we die.
We sleep when we die, right? So I've been hearing a lot of those things, but I've been also recently been hearing a lot of those things debunked. And so now you're hearing that it's not about work-life balance anymore. It's about life integration, right? So how are you working through life? I'll get back to that one in a second. And then there's also, not so much about, just all those things. So for me personally, entrepreneurship was the best thing that I've done in that aspect, because now I flex how I do my life around my work, or I work around my life. That's really what I'm doing now. And so I could not do that before. But now I'll just go through and the key is, like, I gotta have family time, right? I gotta have wife time. I gotta have kid time. I gotta have me time. And I get to do that. So my schedules are pretty intense, but I love my schedule because my schedule is what I want to do every day. So just a quick example, I'll start my day early. I'm at 5:30 in the morning. You might see me at the gym. Now you're saying, hey, you don't look like it, but I just started. All right? You got to start somewhere, right? So 5:30, 6:30, I'm getting it in. But you know what? After those 2 hours, I get 2 hours of solitude to myself. Of work. I can plan my day before anybody else gets to think anything to me. I'm already working at it. So by the time I get to seeing my kids and waking them up and and dropping them off at school, I've already had something done. I get off of work. Because I start my day early. I'm done at 3:30. I get to spend that afternoon with my kids and my wife. So she gets home. I'm cooking. I get to cook. I get to do all that stuff. I go back to work at 8 o'clock at night. Because that's what I want to do. I still am going to bed by 10:30 because that's what I want to do, right? But that's how I'm integrating. I plan that. I plan everything around my life, and then I work. Excellent. And it just works out that way.
Excellent. That's good feedback. What about yours?
Absolutely. Yes. So that's a great question. I have a 9-to-5, and I also am building this business. I also I'm managing 3 employees right now. I also run my parents' church kind of on the side. I'm getting pulled into those conversations. And of course, I have to somehow be a sister and a friend and all the other things. And I realized, first of all, having structure helps significantly. So the two employees that I'm managing are currently based in Nigeria. There's a time difference that I have to work around. I'm in my 9-to-5. By Sundays, I need to know what they're doing for the week. So we've built that structure that way where I'm able to front load that work to see what's coming and what's coming ahead. Then I have, meeting cadences with them where I've scheduled time to tackle, just things. The Q4 plan was made in August. Okay. Right? So we already know what's coming ahead. But building those kinds of structures and just having the foresight to see what's coming helps with finding the balance, because it's not easy, right? And I'm thankful for family, I'm thankful for friends that kind of understand this season of my life, and understanding too that sometimes it is just a season. You're in a season right now where you can't have all the dinners you want to have, or you have to schedule dinners. You can't just call and say, I have to be here at 7 p.m. and then I'm there. But having control over the things that are coming has been very helpful for me. Also, I find out personally for me, when I am not connected with God on a constant, everything begins to lose. It just falls apart, right? And so I have to always prioritize time with God, and that looks like sometimes taking 30 minutes, an hour in the morning before I start my day and just spending quality time. Because I'm telling you, and this is something that I've discovered in my journey, while it looks like everything is chaotic, if you are connected with your source, he finds a way to move things around. That thing that you thought was going to take 3 hours ends up taking 30 minutes. And then you have time for the other things. But there's a supernatural effect of having God in your journey that he begins to make things easy for you. The thing that you thought was going to take 3 months, maybe just a conversation, that has happened to me multiple times, where it was literally just a conversation and that door was opened. And now I can get to the next thing I need to do. So bringing God into your journey is so helpful. It has been helpful for me as a full-timer, you know, as a full-time 9 to 5 and as a full-time business owner as well that is building and is managing people. We're expanding. Before the end of the year, we're going to be a team of 6.
Nice.
The structures that we've built right now is what is going to help us when we do expand to that time. So
Excellent. Jermaine, I know you're very involved with your son's activity. I mean, that's well established. How are you striking that balance between working crazy hours and still finding time for family and your son?
I think there's more than enough time to do the work-life balance. A lot of people, everybody wants to be likable, right? Want to be liked by everybody. So people don't say no to things they don't need to do. Every time a friend says, let's go out for here, someone's birthday, it's they're leaving work, it's special occasion every week, they go out when you can say no and then do the things that are important. You got to prioritize the things that are important. Me, my son, and travel is important to me. So whatever he has to do, I'll block around that and do my work outside of that. And when I take my trips, it's outside of the times that we don't have stuff to do. But a lot of people just don't say no to friends and family, and they're trying to be available to everybody, to be a people pleaser. But once you stop sacrificing your integrity to say yes to everybody, people respect your time more, and they don't ask you to do as much stuff that you don't need to do anyway. Right. And then when you do stuff with them, they appreciate your time more. Because a lot of friends, they just expect you just to be there. So I'm doing this, and it may be not important, and they make it important when it's not that important. Absolutely. So if you set your boundaries, you start saying no to things, and focus on your business and the stuff you want, there's always time. Like I said, Oprah, all these people to do all these amazing things, they got the same 24 hours we got. Absolutely. They're just better with time. They think a little differently, and they understand how important their time is. I think to get a meeting with Oprah, you get 30 minutes. Yeah. You got to say what you got to say, and if she likes what you're saying, she'll give you more time. If she don't, that's the end of the conversation. So that's with me. Like I said, my why is obviously my son, so that takes top priority, everything. And sometimes you may have to miss something with your kids here and there, every blue moon, to better yourself so you can teach them later, because the more of a leader you become, you can show your kids how to do that. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to remember you missed a practice or something like that. I know that's not what people think here. They think you got to be at every practice, every this and that. No, they also have to realize you're not always going to be there, and be able to make decisions without you when they go. You're teaching them to be self-efficient without you. That's the whole point of raising kids. Yeah, right. So I'm with my son. I always give him quotes, Kobe stuff, all that stuff, and like we were saying, it's about grit. They have to overcome stuff. Who are you when you don't get what you want? That's right. You know, so. Same thing. You got to tell friends, hey, I can't meet you this weekend. I got business this weekend. I got to do something with my son this weekend. Because if you had a work event or something like that, you would tell them no all day long. Absolutely. If it was work related, like you had a 9 to 5 and your work had you go somewhere, there'd be no problem to tell them no. But where you have your own time as an entrepreneur, it's harder to tell people no, and people expect you to say yes. But like I said, once you are true to who you are, they will respect your decision.
No, that's great feedback.
Richard, can I say something to what Jermaine just said too? I think what you said is spot on. You got to set strong boundaries. You got to set strong boundaries. And when you're using your faith and you're building your business, you got to have a dark period sometimes. And that dark period does not mean it's got to be heavy. I'm not talking about chaos. I'm talking about, man, where you just go silent because you're focused, right? You're either trying to hear from God to get direction or strategy, which is extremely important. Absolutely. You got to make that time, because I can witness to what Ori said. I have cut time by getting strategy from the Holy Spirit, and that works every time. Wow. Talk about every time, right? And you just gotta just go all in and have that focus, man. And when you do that, sometime you tell people, and you can. It's okay to communicate where you are. You could tell your friends, hey, right now I'm not able to do that. I'll do Zoom. Right now I'm in Zoom season. We are going to have Zoom meetings. We're going to do 30 minutes. We're going to do thank you, Jesus, for Zoom, right? And so that's where we're at right now. And then the ones that I want to go to, I'll make those sacrifices. But what Jermaine had said and Ori said is spot on. You got to set strong boundaries, and then when you got to know where you are in your season of your faith and your business, because you'll know, hey, I'm in dark season, I'm going all in. Then I'm going to come back out when I got some momentum, some things built, some strategy things that are on paper, and now I know, okay, I can be a little bit more visible.
Thank you,
Sorry, just to add to that really quickly, and so spot on from both of you. And just to leverage what Sharon said, I also think when you do set those boundaries, yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable. I've had to set really, really strong boundaries around my family. But guess what? When you set those boundaries and you produce the results, the respect for you like quadruples. Absolutely. Because they know that this wasn't just a matter of, I'm trying to be whatever, but you're going to produce results. So no, I can't, spend 2 hours with you on a Friday night watching whatever. Like, there's stuff that I have to do. But at the end of 3 months of consistently doing that, when I'm telling you I'm making my 5th hire, you're like, oh, dang, like, how'd you do that? Yeah, it's by cutting back from those expensive dinners, right? Like, now I can afford these things, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, those are very great insights, It brings to mind yesterday's segment, even leading into how we can find balance. A question that came up was, how as an individual, right, do you find purpose in your career? Because there are people that are still struggling to find, what am I supposed to do with my life? I'll start with you, Ori, on this one. How can faith play a role in helping people find their passion and the right alignment, right, with the profession that they want to get into? How did that work out for you?
So I prayed that prayer before, and I kind of flipped the script a little bit. And I started asking God, what are you doing? Simple question. God, what are you doing? And how can I align myself with that? And I realized that because God made me and is my creator, he wasn't going to have me do things that were necessarily out of my wheelhouse. As a matter of fact, he was going to place me in positions where he would pull the things that I didn't know existed in my life, and I would be surprised that I could actually do these things. So I started asking that question, and I realized that my strengths lie in building structures, in building processes, in operations, in creativity a little bit. If you'd asked me this question when I was in college, I would have said I wanted to cook for the rest of my life. I love to cook. And I was like, I'm going to build a restaurant. And I tried it, and it didn't work out. And I was like, oh, but I love to cook. So when I started asking God, what are you doing? And then he gave me this path. It didn't make sense at first. I was like, that's not really what I like to do. I don't really. But the more I immersed myself into it, the more I learned, because it wasn't just about sitting down and praying. It was about study. It was about reading. It was about expanding my knowledge base, having conversations, getting mentored, traveling, exposing myself, seeing the world, asking the right questions. When I aligned myself with it, I realized like everything that I love to do is being used now. So I'm at a place where I feel at home and I feel comfortable. But this wasn't like an original idea that this is what I thought I knew I was going to do this my entire life. It was literally saying, God, what are you doing? I've read your word. I know that you want me to do well. I know that you're interested in my success. I know that everything that we see, everything that we think of, our minds as humans is capped. And I want to step into a realm where I start operating at an uncapped level, where you start letting me see your strategy and what you're doing on the earth and what is the kingdom agenda. When I aligned myself with that, it made sense. So I always advise, just flip the script and just ask God what he's doing. If you can align yourself with what God is doing, your life becomes like his showcase, and he just starts doing things that you didn't know was possible.
Becomes a canvas for him to paint.
Exactly.
That's great. Jermaine, what about you? I mean, how were you able to tap into your faith and realize, you know what, I want to get into this direction? Because I think you had shared with us, you didn't even get your real estate license until 2011, right?
Yeah,
2011. How were you able to navigate to get to that point?
Well, I think God was trying to point me in that direction when I was 19, because I took all my real estate classes at 19.
Oh, wow.
Don't know why, I just did it in college. It was like 13 weekends. And then I lost my driver's license for 2 years. So I was like, well, maybe this ain't what I'm supposed to do, right? So I put that on pause, finished school and everything, worked for the railroad. And then I got an offer at a new home sales position. And then it had been 10 years and my license, the class had expired.
Right, yeah.
So then I had to take it again. So basically what I'm trying to say is when you follow your intuition and you trust God and where he's leading you, now I'm real big on that now. I think when you're in a relationship or you think someone's shady or something, usually you're right.
Yeah.
It's just you don't want to be a bad person, you still keep messing with that person, or you stay in that relationship long you need to. And if you just follow your intuition in your heart, what he's telling you to do,
Saves you a lot of headache.
it saves you a lot of hate. He's pointing you in all the right directions. Just we a lot of times just fight against that. So with me, I don't worry, I don't stress. My motto is, what's meant to be always is.
Yep.
If something don't go the way I want to, obviously that's a lesson I need to learn to make me better for a situation or opportunity that comes later. Because like I said, stressing, that's emotional.
Absolutely.
Like 95% of the stuff we stress about does not happen.
Yeah.
So I don't even entertain it. Like when I was younger, I was always late, right? And I'd be flying 100 to get to work or something. Still late, you know? Now I'm like, that job's still gonna be there. I'm still gonna be here. I'm gonna be safer. I'm gonna get there when I get there, and they should understand. So yeah, like I said, I just trust my intuition now. That's one of my strong suits, I feel like. It's one of my superpowers, I feel like, now is with the faith. So if you trust in God and you believe he's taking the right place, no need to worry. He's gonna put the right people in your life. It's just on you if you're going to seize the opportunity or overthink it. So.
Absolutely. What about you, Sharon? I know you had to navigate through this for quite some time. How did you apply faith and really get into where you are today?
Absolutely, man. I appreciate this question so much. So one thing that I think what Jermaine said was spot on. It's kind of interesting. You said you took those classes when you were 19.
Yeah.
Didn't get back to it till like literally almost 10 years later. But one thing you got to do is you got to block out the noise. You got to block out people, even family. Yeah. I'm going to say that matter of factly, even family. Yeah. I will tell you, some of the first experiences that I've had in work and doing what I'm doing now, I've had them when I was younger. Yeah. And because, like, for example, I'll just give you an example. I had an idea. I was going to be a fireman, right? So I took the fire test. So one of my family members said, "You're going to die in a fire. Why would you do something like that?" Right? But I passed that test. You know, long come the line, that opportunity came back again. Yeah. But I'm much older. Yeah. You know, like in 5 years, it's paying like 80 grand for being on a firefighter. I was like, what? You know, so someone who's 22 years old,
that's good money.
It's great money, right? So same thing, insurance. I really had a big piece in development in my career was in sales and insurance. The first job I came out of college I got was an insurance guy. You know, but you know what they did? They made me pay for my own website and my cards, which was probably a custom thing. Yeah. It's about $300. Yeah. You know what one of my family members said? That's a scam. Yeah. They're like, that's a scam. Why are you paying to get a job? Yeah. And this was something I trusted. I'm gonna be honest, this was mom. All right? This was mom. That's a scam. What are you gonna do that for? I said, you know what, you're right. I'm over here paying $300 to do this thing. And so, you know, one day I was watching football, right? I'm watching NFL football, and I look out, and this is how God comes back to you, man. This is how God comes back to you. So football, the commercial shows, and it shows the name of the stadium. You know, when a real company, when they got money, they're gonna sponsor the stadium, right? The name of that company that I worked for was the name on that stadium. Wow. And I got so mad. I'm older now. I'm like, it wasn't a scam. That company had money, and I was gonna make it. The guy told me I was gonna make 80 grand that year, my first year, if I just would have did that. He said, my first year, you're gonna do that. The CEO was gonna train me. Wow. So here's my point. You gotta know, you gotta block out the noise. And the one thing that I know I'll give you this in short. God, and you go to your book of Genesis, he says he created man to have dominion. To have dominion. If you think, what is my purpose? You have dominion, right? So here's what I learned. There's one thing that changed even my Christian journey. I would always go to church, and I started changing how I went to church and stuff. One of the pastors said, you know, the first church experience, he said, he told me, he said, I always heard the pastor say, God's going to do. The next church experience I heard when I stopped going to that church, and there wasn't nothing wrong with the church. It's like this Holy Spirit just started speaking to me. Then I started hearing something say it's already done. Yeah.
That's right.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with those two ideas, but God's going to do, and it's already done, there's something that just doesn't line up.
Yeah.
One is going to put me with my hand out, because I'm waiting for God to do. The other revelation lets me know the responsibility is on me. So as I walk in faith, God multiplies.
Absolutely.
That's the already done mentality.
Absolutely.
So I say that when I give you those examples of the stories and things that I had, the Holy Spirit gives you strategy. That's what got to me. When Jermaine said, listen to your intuition, or I'm listening to my faith, the Holy Spirit gives me strategy. And so when I learned that the power of it's already done means that it's going to be between me and God. Me and God's going to walk this thing out. He's got all the answers. He knows all. It's already, this is a finished work. We're not waiting for anything new. We're not waiting for new miracles. No, we're walking a finished work. Right? So now that I have that understanding and revelation of God and talking about this question, I use the Holy Spirit for strategy.
That's good.
So what I need to get done, my next mission, I just ask.
That's good.
I just ask for the clarity. I ask for the opportunity. I ask for the wisdom that I do not know because I don't know all. And he always gives.
Wow.
He always delivers.
Wow.
And that's how you move.
That's good, man. That's such an excellent question. I think the audience really understands and like that too. I had a question come up to me on Thursday from somebody very close to me, and the question was very interesting. And said, how do you maintain a high level of success? Basically, I think the impression is that everything I do is successful.
It's gold. Everything you touch is gold.
Yeah, but
mic.
like Mike, exactly. And I told her, I said, for every victory you see, I've had 100 defeats.
Yeah.
For every single one,
Yeah.
I've probably lost 1,000 times on so many other things, whether it's money, personnel, sleep, so many things. But that one victory usually makes up for all the other defeats and failures I've had. So, my question to you guys, and we'll start with you on this one, Jermaine. What strategies and mindset should an individual adopt to overcome the challenges, setbacks that they encounter in their careers or in their entrepreneurial ventures? What type of mindset and strategies should they have?
Mindset is you have to understand that you're going to take losses. It's part of the process. That's how you learn. Like you said, my biggest successes came from my losses. Yeah. When I first got in real estate, started buying properties, it was horrible. I think 2 people got killed in my places. The DEA ran up in one of my places. I got behind on taxes. It was crazy. Yeah. Same thing with stock. Put 30 grand in stock. Everybody's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I got this. I'm cocky. I'm young. Lost 26 grand of the 30 in like 6 months. Yeah. But when I lost those things, it made me sit back and think like, okay, what really happened? What can I do to change the outcome next time? A lot of times when a person will take a loss, they'll be like, I'm never doing that again. That wasn't meant for me. Yeah. But entrepreneurs, I think 70% file bankruptcy before they succeed, but they understand, okay, I'm going to learn for this, so it wasn't for nothing. And like I said, it's the consistency. You got to understand the process is the process. Yeah. And when you're going through the process, you just have to, what's the word I want to say? When you're going through the process, that's the part that's the good part. You don't see it at the time, but that's when you're becoming who you need to become. It's not the thing you get or the money you acquire, it's the person you become in the process of doing it. So if you got the grit, and the key to success with anything is consistency. Like I said, a lot of times people will mess up and then they'll quit. But if you keep going after it, God will put the people in your life to help you get to the next level. I truly believe that, and it's worked for me in everything I've ever done. So, and I'm real big on personal growth too. So if your person is always about growing and understand that they're going to take L's, but like you said, when you do hit that home run, it's a grand slam. It makes up for the 10 losses you have. Like you said, now it's like everybody thinks you grew up with a silver spoon in your mouth. You never had a care in the world. You always had money, and you don't take losses. Now I still take losses, but like you said, no one sees those losses now because we are such at a higher level now. That's something small on the radar. But when I first lost that 26 grand, I wanted to cry. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, that's good. In fact, one of the replies I gave her was, "If I show you my failures, how are you going to get inspired?" But to you, Jerome, what kind of mindset and strategies do you think an individual
I'll make
needs?
this one quicker than my last one. I actually was in grad school a while back now, and one of the things that came out and was the facts, it said 84% big corporations they all try to do big changes. 84% of those changes that they make, those big company transitions, fail. And 14% of those businesses who make those things are the only ones that succeed. They said, well, why does that happen? Well, because he says, when you're making a big change, and I love what you said, Jermaine, you got a plan. It's a J curve, like literally, like the letter J, a curve. Yeah. So you're going to start your change here at the bottom of J, or where J starts. It's going to go down first. Then it's going to go up. And you got to plan for that journey. You're not going to go, most people want to make a change. It's like, this is going to happen. I'm going to go from here. I'm going to go to there. Yeah. That's not what usually happens. You got to plan for that to go down and go up, because you're making this, like they say, this is not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that's what you need to plan for. And so when you think about mindset, you got to have the right expectations of what growth looks like. One thing that I'm doing right now that it's very, very important is you got to take time to read. You got to expand your mind. Matter of fact, because of mindset, I'm actually reading the book on mindset. The author's name is Carol Dweck. Okay. Right? Started this book, Growth Mindset, became really popular probably about 10 years ago, whatever it may be. But you got to invest in whatever you're trying to do. So if I want to study insurance, I need to read about who's successful in insurance. Absolutely. Right? If I want to start entrepreneurship, I need to figure out who's doing entrepreneurship and doing really well in it. Right? And so that's a really big piece of it, so you don't get yourself discouraged, because that's what the devil wants. He wants you to lose track, right? And then once you lose track, you're off. You're all the way off. Got to invest in your mind and your spirit.
That's good. That was the short version.
Yeah. All right. Back to the goal.
All right. What's helped you? What strategies and mindsets have really helped you? Because you're navigating your regular 9 to 5, being a businesswoman, helping your father's church. What kind of mindsets and strategies have you had to adapt?
So, first scripture, everything works together for our good. Everything. Everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, it all works together for our good. Second scripture is, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. And I think that's what Sharon was trying to drive to, right? So those two things, I've understood that the seemingly failures, all part of the journey that works together for my good. I lost so much money trying to start a restaurant because I love to cook. And I was encouraged by my family because I love to cook. I realized pretty quickly that this was not my path. Not because I lost money in it, but I realized, like, I love to cook, but I didn't understand the business of cooking. Those are two different things. Now I had to take a step back and realize, oh, there's a business of doing something. You can't just start a business because you like to do something. Okay. Then life taught me that lesson. The Holy Spirit continued. And we started on the journey. And that's when I started asking questions. God, what are you doing on the earth? How do I align myself with your agenda? You know, not to just ensure that whatever I was going to do next, there was something here that God was, was interested in. So everything works together for your good. That the failure doesn't surprise God. God. I always say this to my friends. I'm like, whatever happens to you, God isn't on his throne like, oh my God, that happened? Like, no, he already saw that happen, and he already wove that into your journey, right? And you have to take the lesson. Because he brought it into your journey, you have to take a step back and take that lesson out of it to propel yourself to the next thing. But that's the mindset that I have. It's working together for my good. Whatever happens at the end of it, because I'm in alignment with God's will and his name, I always say, God, like, God, your name is in question here. Your name is here. I've added your name to this thing. I've tied your name to my purpose. I've tied your name to my being. So I trust that you take care of me. So whatever seemingly failure, downstream, whatever the grammar is, I'm like, it's working together for my good.
Wow. That's powerful. That's powerful. That's powerful. What do you guys think? Excellent. You know, we're about to wrap up soon, but I do have a couple of questions that I think will really help our audience today, both live and in person here, to understand the dynamic that it takes, right, to get to where we are. Yesterday, I shared a story of how every single big breakthrough I've ever had came from a relationship. It never came from my smart work, my hard work, my education. Every single great opportunity, every major door came from a relationship, to the point that even my biggest breakthrough, I was able to trace it back to 4 or 5 individuals, and they were all relationship based, right? And so a lot of times people don't realize that your greatest asset is always your relationship. In fact, Jermaine and I, I think about maybe a little over, close to 2 months ago, I was in town. I booked my hotel, usually the hotel I stay at. When I get there, they know me, they get my room ready. And for that there was one particular day, there was a big event in town. They were completely sold out. So I was only able to book one day, and then I needed somewhere else to stay and then come back the next day. And I hit Jermaine up. He's like, bro, come to that crib, man. You know, got plenty of space, you know. And I shared with him, I said, people don't realize the value of relationship. That's right. You know, you can cash that anytime. A lot of times I find people wanting to do transactions with you when it's convenient, and then wanting a favor when it's convenient. And it doesn't work that way. If you want us to be transactional, we will be transactional. Or we can be great friends and build a relationship where now I'm looking out for your best interest, you're looking out for my best interest.
Absolutely.
So in the space where we find ourselves, whether in our career or business, how can individuals create and leverage a strong support network and relationships to boost their career growth and navigate the challenges that comes along with that? What do you think, Sharon?
Well, the scripture says if you want friends, you need to show yourself friendly.
Yeah.
I think it really keeps it that simple, man. You got to make yourself available to people, and you got to hunger to know people. Like, you have to have a good sense of love. You know, self-love first, right? Because if you don't have good self-love, people are going to feel that, right? They're going to know how you're coming off. But you have good self-love, it's going to rub off more love, right? I genuinely love people, like genuinely. And so that really just helps me build a strong rapport. I have a rapport with all of you. I enjoy time with people, right? But I think that you just gotta literally just show yourself friendly and make time to be available. I'll do this. If I'm single, I'm not single right now, but if I'm single, hey, I'm not doing Uber Eats. I don't care if I gotta eat by myself. I'm going out to eat, right? Because I need to meet more people. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm not doing Instacart. Grocery not going to my door. I'm single. Sunday, that's the best day to shop. Everybody at the grocery store. So those are the things that go through my mind, man. I gotta be around people, right? And so when you have that kind of hunger, that desire, it's gonna rub off, and you're gonna build strong relationships. You're gonna meet somebody somewhere. That's how it's gonna work.
Great. What about you, Jermaine? How'd you really harness that relationship and create a great support system around you?
Well, I think what happens is relationships. Your parents, your siblings, your friends. If you have good relationships with people, you're generally a happy person. When you have drama with people and you allow them to stay in your life, they're going to bring you down, drag you down. So when it comes to business, you realize real quick your network is your net worth,
Absolutely.
right? So if you can keep bringing those relationships to the forefront and make them important, and like he said, if you have self-love and you're a friendly person, you got to find a way. If every person I meet, I go, how can I make this person's life better? Not how can I make my life better? How can I make their life better? And in turn, I'm making my life better, because as they see how I pour into them or give to them, they're going to give to me. And what I've learned now is I'm at a level of success to where I try to mentor younger people that I see that are talented, that are ambitious. And what happens is when they have something, guess who they come to? Me. And now I have a partnership with a young and up-and-coming entrepreneur, and we can continue to do business. Same thing, like I had a buddy, he didn't even know he's mentoring me. I took him to lunch every month, and he would tell me some of the business he was doing, all these things. And after a while, we became friends. And now, like I said, I think my best investment is about to pay off next year. It'd be a home run. He just said, you want to be on this rehab facility in Akron? And like I said, I don't know much about it, but I know numbers. So he told me the numbers, and I was like, man, like that's crazy numbers. If he's just 25% right, I'm in. So it was a no-brainer for me. But that was just based on a relationship. He had, I remember thinking when I was younger, this guy, when I would take him to lunch, and eventually, because I was always eager, wanting to know all these questions, he would give me really good, valid advice. I'm like, this dude wants me to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Like, he's not getting nothing from me. I'm broke right now. But now I've added him on a deal or two here and there, and our kids play sports together and stuff like that. So now it's like, we're not, now we're friends now, real friends now versus just a business thing.
Yeah.
And that's the best kind of relationships you can have.
Wow,
But,
that's powerful.
yeah.
All right, what about you? That's good.
So I'll start with a Yoruba proverb that says "Eyan lasho," which means people are your clothes. So I'm from a tribe in Nigeria. I'm from the Yoruba tribe, and that's something that's always said, that people are your covering, people are your clothes. And so I am the opposite of Sharon. Sharon and I work together, and Sharon knows that I can be very quiet. I can be very in my corner, like, just, and not in a bad way. I'm just not an extrovert. That's right. And so how do you navigate a world of building relationships as an introvert, as someone that doesn't necessarily, isn't gravitated towards people? Again, not in a bad way, but just, that's just who I am. And again, this is how I've asked what I'm like, I may not know a lot of people, but the people that you do bring into my way, God, please let me be able to add value to them in such a way that is palpable. I always tell my team, I'm like, one day what would give me the biggest joy is that you come to me and say, all right, I got a fantastic opportunity at blah, 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 blah. Like, what do you want to do, and how can I help this experience here get you there? Whatever it is, I'm going to throw my back at it and help you build it. Whatever learning, whatever conference, whatever mentorship, if I can't provide it, I'm going to connect you to the person that can, just to ensure that you get to where you want to be in life, because this business will hopefully outlive all of us. And so I can't tie your entire existence to just this season that we're in together. So ensuring that I am putting my best foot forward. I'm praying with people. Winnie's my friend. She's in the audience there. We have lots of conversations. So but I've also realized that because I'm pouring myself into people that way, God brings strategic people my way, where I may not have 10 people all the time around me, but the two, my goodness, the two will do exploits. Will do exploits. So if you're an extrovert like Sharon, go out. If you're an introvert like me, God still has a way of using people like us too, where we're able to build strategic relationships.
Can I say something real quick to what you said also, which is very, very powerful? You got to be genuine. We can't not alleviate that piece about being genuine. In insurance, we used to call it commission breath. When someone was coming up, they're just really trying to make a sale, you can kind of feel it. So people can feel when you're not genuine. They know when you're trying to use them for a transaction, and it's not going to go well. If you're trying to build relationships, build a real relationship. Don't lead with business. Don't lead with what you're trying to get out of them. Get to know them. What do they like? What do they want? What interests them, right? Those are simple questions that you can find out from just getting to know somebody.
Absolutely, man. I think this was some amazing feedback. We are almost out of time, but I do want to give the audience the opportunity to ask some questions. We're going to take 2 questions, and then I'll throw one last question at you guys. I know we have other engagements after this. Some of you have to run, literally. But I'll give some opportunity here for any audience member that has a question, please. Please state your name and then your question. Yes, that's fine. No, you can talk. We can hear you. Yes. It's okay. We can hear you. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. We can hear you. I'll repeat the question. All right.
Thank you. So for someone who believes, they have an entrepreneurial spirit, or they want to start, and maybe they've started a couple of things and they just let it go because they had other priorities, what is a good place to start? What is a good mindset to have starting? Because you could be in a season of life where starting a business is not a priority at the moment, but what is a good place to start from anywhere? Say someone I want to do this, what is a good place to start?
Amazing. All right, great question. I'm going to try and tackle this question, and I'll throw it back to you guys. And we'll try and keep the answers brief because some of you have to run. So that's a fantastic question. I always encourage people to start wherever they are, right? A lot of times we want all T's crossed, all I's dotted, right? But in every capacity you find yourself in, you have an opportunity to start something and create something. And the amazing thing about being an entrepreneur is there's no age limit, right? We've seen people who started businesses in their 70s and it was incredibly successful. So I would say have this agile mentality of, I'm gonna do something wherever I find myself, with whatever I have, right? And a lot of times I see people encounter the challenge of capital. I don't have the money for this. Start with whatever you have, and eventually when the value is there, people like me, we are constantly looking for opportunity to tap into. Like when I leave my house, any conversation, anytime I see something, the reason I travel so much is when I get on the plane, I get so much inspiration in every country, every state I get into. The first night I'm thinking is, who has the most money in this place? What do they do? And I'm constantly looking for opportunities. So you'll discover that when you start something and there's value, finding investors, finding people to tap in is the least of your problems. So start wherever you are. I'll throw this to Jermaine.
Now, I heard you say that you had a couple different business ventures that you were dabbling in, and then you kind of let them go. So like he was saying, there's people out there with money that will invest in you. But it sounds like when you're doing several things, you ain't taking it serious. It's not important to you, so it ain't gonna be important to me to give you the money because you don't know what you need to know. Now, if you took that serious, versus like, I'm pretty sure when people go on vacation, they book a hotel, get the best deal, they find a rental car, they find play. They'll spend 10, 20 hours researching vacation. But when it comes to retirement or your business, you ain't spending that kind of time trying to learn what you need to learn. So once you become an expert in whatever business you want, not even an expert, you know what you need to know. Like say I want to flip a house, right? I don't need money to flip a house. What you need is the knowledge. So if I have crews, I can connect people, crews, I can figure out how to get the money through hard money, and then I can borrow private money from somebody. Once I tell them I'm gonna buy this property for 60, put 40 in it, sell for 180, Rich is gonna give me the money, or you know, someone will give me the money if they can see the value in what you're saying. So you have to make it a priority, make it serious for someone to take you serious in your business, and then I feel like it'll take off. But I think most people just kind of dabble, and I'm not gonna give somebody my money that dabbles. Or like when someone's looking to start a new company, the first thing we look at is who's running that company? What kind of experience do they have? So they've done this, so the rehab facility, these people had 15 years experience and run 3 other rehab facilities. So we know it was gonna be managed right. They've already doing it. Versus there's a kid that wanted to start a nightclub and compete with Mandrakes downtown, which the best one downtown, he's never done it. No one would give him money because we know he's gonna make a lot of mistakes, and that's with our money. So we can't chance that. It's not a good investment. We don't think we'll get a return on our money. But if you take the time to learn what you need to do and show people how they're gonna make money, they'll give you the money.
Excellent answer. What about you, Ori?
Yeah, and I also think they're just certain basics that you need to learn, regardless of the business that you're going to start. So how does money even work? Do you know how to read a profit and loss statement? How do you market? How do you make offers? What channels are available to sell your business? Do you know how to manage people? Do you know how to build a structure on the back end? Regardless of the business you start, those are just basics that you're going to need to know, right? And so immersing yourself in just acquiring knowledge at this stage, if you don't know exactly where you want to go, and understand that, listen, people make money from they can make money from anything. What blows my mind a lot of times is buttons on clothes, like this button.
Yep.
I'm like, it's so small, but yo, somebody's making money, millions off this thing that would like pop in like, you know. But if you have that kind of mentality, like regardless of what you do, there's potential to make serious money there, but you need to know how to run it, and you need to understand the business and how money actually works. That would help you regardless of the path that you choose to land on.
Excellent. What about you, Sharon?
I would say too, you know, just start with serving. You know, whatever your thing that you really want to do, like just serve in that capacity. Get a response. You know, see what people say. Do they like it? Will they buy it again? You know, is it something that people are really into, right? Before you even go all hardcore into knowledge and, you know, things you got to develop, and just see, hey man, does this work? Is it sticking? Am I on to something, right? We started doing our programming much earlier, just doing it out of the will of our heart. And next thing you know, someone's like, man, someone will pay you for that. They'll pay you for that. And so then I put a price tag on it. Then they didn't bother. It wasn't a big deal. I'm like, man, we're not paying enough. We're not charging enough for it. So you gotta see if it sticks. And then, like Jermaine was saying, you got just do one. Figure out which one sticks and then grow that one. Then go from there.
Excellent.
I want to add something real quick because I kept talking about dabble and stuff. So, like you said, you got to pick one and then create a plan. And if you find any business I want to do, I'm finding someone that's successful at it. You find someone doing what you want to do, that will speed up your time, get rid of a lot of mistakes. And then you still may not know everything you need to know, but if you can partner with that person, their credibility will help you get money for whatever you want to do, and it'll help you grow a lot faster. So find somebody doing what you want to do, and that's when someone knows you're serious, because now you're really going out and figuring out the things you need to learn.
Great feedback. We're going to take one last question before we throw it back to the show. No.
Okay, so I'm in the process of starting up a business, and it is with things that I find, and it just happens all the time. I see things that I can clean, people's trash, and I find really, really nice things. And so I'm like, why do I keep finding these things? I could be driving down the road, I could be walking, and I'll find things like gold, like what I have on, like I found in the trash, this bracelet I found. And so I'm like, okay, I can clean this stuff, baby stuff. I'm finding like a lot of baby stuff, like items that they can use that I would use for my own child. And if not, I will clean it so that someone can use it. So I'm like, okay, God, this is not just a coincidence. I mean, a potty sat in the middle of the road for a long time. So I'm trying to start this business, and I came up with a name, which is Loose Ends and Things. Someone's
Very fitting.
loose ends and things. They're things. So I am trying to put this business together. I need space, like a storage. When I find things, I have a truck, small truck. I'm finding things everywhere. Like I have 2 yards to go pick up things that I had to remove out the truck to organize it. So what are some things that you can do as far as putting this plan together? Also, I want to give back. I give a lot, so I receive a lot. And sometimes it's just over to the capacity. Like when you leave, there's a Silver Liberty truck out there. Just take a look at it. It's full. I'm the only person that can fit in it. What would you do to get this on the ground as far as the legal aspect way?
I'll tackle this and I'll throw it back to you guys. From a business development, a great question by the way. From a business development point of view, right? I always advise people, think simple, think small first, right? The number one thing you need for any business is customers. But we do have this propensity to overthink everything else. I need a website, I need a space, I need a car, you could have all those things and have 0 customers. You know, so your success is really gonna be customer focused, right? When I get these items, where am I selling it? Flea market, have you researched all the flea markets, even just within your zip code or within your city to figure out, I could set up a table here, how much is it gonna cost? How can I get this to my customers as quickly as possible, right? And then all the other facets and the website and the storage and this, that comes into play later, but you first have to identify what you have, the product you have, and how quickly I can make it seamless and get it over to my customers. As far as giving back, it's literally the same process. what are some organizations I want to tap into? Maybe boys and girls of this, or this and that, or homeless, people. So at least they can have ornaments that gives them some what's the right word I'm looking for here? Something dignifying, right? So I would say always focus on what my customer base is. As far as setting up a business, every city and state has entities that will help you support that. And you can easily Google it. How to register a business in Columbus, right? And there's a phone number for you. There's an email. And you can start that process. A typical business registration only takes a few days. In some states where they are very business focused, hours. You get your EIN, and then you can get your tax information, all of that. But all of this information is online. If you need the extra help, I'm more than happy to, spend some time with you after this and help you with that. But I'll send this back to Sharon and then to the panel.
No, I mean, I think you gave her really good feedback. I mean, I would just sales. I mean, sales is number one, and then the give back piece of it, that could be a part of your model. Like if that's really what you're if that's something that you're really into, then that even helps you drive more sales, because people love that. They love the supporting grassroots things, and they love to support things that people are giving to. So that would be a part of my model. And I would say, hey, so much of this proceeds, helps to go towards this, even adopting a well-known organization or something like that. So that's a really big key. But also be careful what you're giving, because when you're starting your business, I'm not going to just say this and put it out there, you got to be selfish a little bit. So you got to kind of like be the giving as a part of your model, but don't start giving off all your things that you're buying right away. You got to figure out, take time to assess what's actually selling, what's profitable, because I have to make sure that for me to stay in business, I got to grow the business. And if I'm giving off too much than when I'm still trying to grow, then it's not going to be successful. So make giving a part of the model, some parts of your proceeds, but only as I've accumulated that I can give. Right? So even the word says, freely, freely you came and freely you give. I'm messing up what it says. I apologize. But I do know that it's really, really intentional that you received first. Then you could give, because I can only give out of my increase. I can't give out my lack.
Great one. Ari.
That's amazing. So it sounds to me that you're receiving these items for free already. So keep that free as long as possible. Don't spend until you absolutely have to spend. So, like he was saying, leverage the flea markets, leverage Facebook groups if you're on it, right? Because you're already receiving these products for free. So, anything you make on this, like that's profit, like easy. You're not trying to. It's easy profit. So keep that model as low cost, as long as you possibly can. I don't know what your leave-in situation is right now, but starting out of your house and not having to pay for storage would be great right now. Like I said, leveraging Facebook groups, leveraging flea markets. The holidays are right around the corner right now. Can you put something together, where you tie in that give back strategy you talked about, to be able to, bless maybe some kids, record your process. How do you clean? So that people can see and feel safe acquiring those products from you. But keep it as low cost, as no cost to yourself, as long as you possibly can, and build off of that profit.
Great feedback. Jermaine.
I would say, like you said, it looks like it's all profit because you find this stuff, but you want to grow. You were talking about stores, and that's overhead. So I would, like they said, kind of see how much money you're making a few months. I would not give anything at that point, because it's kind of like now. You got bills now. Say you lose your job. Are you going to give money when you got to pay your light bill? The light bill comes first. Same thing with your business. Like he's saying, you got to be selfish. It comes first, and then after a while, after you figure it out and get more profitable, now it's no problem. This is our profit margin. It's 25, 45, or it's 80%. I can give 10%. But you got to stay low cost. And I would, once again, find somebody doing what you're doing to help speed that up, and then you'll learn how to grow quicker. Put together a 1-year plan, 3-year plan, so you have a guide of where you're going. Because if not, if it's just something you're doing every blue moon, you find something to do it, you may make $500 this month, $200 next month. That's not a sustainable business. You have to be intentful on how you're getting this stuff. So it sounds like You may have to have people help you find this stuff. You have to do more posts. You may pay somebody to drive around and look for stuff for you. So I would have somebody help find this stuff for you, and that's going to be a low overhead. Like you said, do it out of your house. And then once you get a little bigger, then you can get a storage unit and then hire more people and then just go from there. But you got to start small. A lot of people, they see what big companies are doing. Like my insurance company, for when I first started, I had a guy who was like, this other insurance company's doing this much sales and da-da-da-da. I'm like, dude, we are 18 months old. That's a 20-year-old company. We can't compete with that right now. But now I'm 7 years in, and now I'm just as big as that 20-year company he was talking about. But he just was looking in the future. It just don't work like that.
I think we've received some great feedback from the questions we've had. I'm going to ask the panelists just one last question as we wrap up. And because we started this off faith, this last question is going to be about faith, right? And how we tie all of this into who we are and what we do. So my question to you guys would be, how does faith influence the mindset and decision-making process of being an entrepreneur, and how can it harness for you to build purpose-driven business, right? So the way I want us to really think about this question is, when we tap into our faith, first and foremost, what mindset do we derive from that? And how do we ensure that everything we do has some purpose attached to it? So it's not just about money, but it's purpose-driven based on the faith that got us there in the first place. Sure.
Well, the Bible says, Jeremiah 29:11, so he has a plan, that he knows a plan, right? I know the plan that I have for you, right? For us to prosper us. So, you know what? I think it's sometimes as simple for me was asking, well, God, what is that plan that you have for me? And that was my first start, right? So it starts with faith. The journey starts with faith. I want to know what that plan is. I heard it in the Word. A lot of people quote it, but have I ever taken the time to really ask them a question about it, right? And then that faith stirs up the purpose. So even in the business that I do right now, it's all about what's in me. I'm giving either what I didn't have or what I wanted to have. And now that's what I give to the world. And that's the same gift that I'm actually able to use in the world. So from the way I understand it, as you're asking, you know, I'm using my faith to give what's inside of me. And that's what I wanted to give to the world. And so that's what fuels me, and that's what I do. I ask for the plan, and I'm just working it.
Great. What about you?
One thing I've learned is with the economy, if you're going to build with the economy of the kingdom in mind, you have to understand that God does things a little bit differently from how we do things in the world. And so God is going to put you in situations that literally does not make sense. But he is stretching you, and he is ensuring that your total dependency is on him. And you begin to see money after a while as just a byproduct. You begin to see the bigger picture about souls. You begin to see the bigger picture about his agenda, what he's doing on the earth, his strategy, because God is a mastermind. You have to understand this God that we're serving. He's not just everybody pray, everybody fast, and that's it. That's like, if that's the view you have of God, it's not the whole picture. He is very much interested in commerce. He is very much interested in what the world is doing. He is behind the scenes putting things together. And so when he puts you on the scene, you're just a piece of what's the plan, what the bigger agenda is, which is what I was asking, you know, when I was at the beginning, when I was saying, God, what are you doing on the earth? Because I felt something change, and I felt something come, and I asked that question because I knew that this was a time to either, there's no middle. You're either for God or you're against God. There's no middle. Don't get yourself deceived by that. There is no middle. So I knew I had to align with God, and I said, whatever it is that you're doing, I want to be a part of it. And so that's how it began to grow me. When we started renovating the store, the brick and mortar store in Nigeria at the beginning of the year, I had no money. That was not even my plan. That was not my plan at all. But I remember that I had said it to a friend that in 2023 I was going to open our first store. Wow. When I was saying that, I had no plan. And the way God worked and orchestrated everything, it goes against everything I learned in business school. It goes against every single thing I learned in business school. So therefore, if you're going to have God in the middle of your business, just know that you're gonna encounter some things that don't make sense. Literally does not make sense. But just stay with Him. He knows what He's doing, and He has a plan behind the scenes.
Thank you, Jermaine.
Yeah, faith is important. Like I said, you have to believe something's going to happen for you that hadn't happened before in business and stuff. Because one, you don't start off successful. You start off, like you said, no money, no this, and you have to believe something's going to happen. Be a little delusional that it's going to work for you. Once you can master your thought, because a man thinketh, you get what you focus on. Yeah. You get what you think. Yeah. So if you put together a plan, you're always looking at that plan. You're kind of going to go that way. I'll give you an example. I read this in a book one time. Like, say you're in Las Vegas, it's nothing but, or Arizona, nothing but desert, but there's phone posts like every 1 mile. Yeah. How come all the time people get wrapped around them phone posts? It's because when they wake up from driving, that's the first thing they see. All they focus on, I don't want to hit that, I don't want to hit that. But you're focusing on that, so that's where you gravitate towards. So the reason I say is when you think about what you want and you believe God is going to get you there, He gives you and puts things in your life to get you where you need to be. So like I said, once again, I don't stress, I don't worry, I don't doubt. I know where I need to be at that point in time, and He'll put a task in front of me. And life, there's going to be some suffering. That's part of it. And if you look at most people, the thing that makes them is the thing when they was younger that made them suffer the most or they hated the most. That is now their gift and their purpose in life, which God put in your life. It's truly a blessing just to be alive. Yeah. I mean, you could have been born with no legs, no arms. You could have died at stillbirth. So just even being here, He has a plan for you. Absolutely. So that's what I believe.
That's incredibly positive answers and feedback. The last part I want to add to that is, for me personally, I pray that God orders my steps every day. That's literally the only prayer I pray consistently, order my steps. And I had to embark on a prayer a while back with God and said, because I come up with so many ideas in my mind, and sometimes the execution isn't there. And so I got to a place where I asked God, I said, I don't want any more of these ideas unless you're gonna equip me with the tools and the people and the personnel and the resources and the courage for me to just really just go. Because keep in mind the story of the Israelites leaving Egypt, going into the promised land. God had to remind Joshua many times, be of courage. And God was leading them, and He still had to remind him, be of courage. So I got to a place where I recognized that now anything that comes to me, whether it's business, I have to put so much faith into it, knowing that it's already ordained by God. And something you said earlier, it's already complete. It's done. I just have to step into it, because my consistent prayer is, if it's not meant for me, I don't want any part of it. If there's a lesson for me in there, let me learn it. But I don't want to be distracted from anything that takes me away from my purpose and something that will bring value. So, again, I thank you guys so much today for coming in, spending time with us. I think the audience has definitely been blessed, correct? And those watching us live, thank you for joining us. And again, I definitely want to thank our panelists. We'll be back again next year for Wealth and Riches Impartation. Apostle is saying now we're going to do it every 6 months, but I think there's so much value here, and we really appreciate. Let's give a round of applause to our panelists today for coming in and sharing some knowledge with us. So as we wrap up, we hope everybody learned something from this, came with an open mind, and has been really blessed by everything that we shared today. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Before we leave, tonight there is